He finally realized one thing. Escaping prison doesn't require a foolproof, unprecedented idea. It just needs a method that everyone knows but no one dares to try. That is, to make a key with his own hands. In the dead of night, Mike took out a piece of paper and covered it over the keyhole of the cell door. He carefully pressed his finger around the keyhole to outline its shape then traced the lines with a pencil. This way, he obtained the shape of the keyhole. For the second step, he rolled up a piece of paper and carefully inserted it into the keyhole. He pinched the end of the paper with his fingers, then pressed the top with a pencil. When he pulled it out, 2 clear creases were left on the paper. This was the exact length of the key. The third step was to acquire the tooth shape of the key. During mealtimes, his cellmate would deliberately create chaos to distract the prison guards, while Mike took the opportunity to sneak a peek at the keys on the guard's waist. When playing ball, he pretended to pick up the ball from the wire mesh, but was actually stealing glances. Lining up was also a prime time for observation. Before long, he could draw a rough shape of the key from memory, and through multiple observations and comparisons, he continuously refined it until the drawn version was almost identical to the real key. Next was the most crucial step, making the key. What material to use? Wood. The prison workshop had woodworking tasks every day, which gave him the opportunity to collect wood. Mike hid a few suitable wooden strips in sandpaper, then quietly stuffed them into the bottom of his thermos. The only risk was that every day after work, the prison guards would inspect the thermoses. They usually tapped it a couple of times and poured out the coffee inside. When it was Mike's turn, the guard noticed his nervous expression and decided to pour out all the coffee and give it a vigorous shake. Fortunately, there was no sound of wooden strips rattling inside the thermos, because Mike had patted it with a rag beforehand. Late at night, Mike got to work. He carved out the grooves of the key with a small knife, repeatedly sanded it with sandpaper, shaved the handle of the key, and glued it together. Finally, he placed the key inside a lampshade to heat and shape it, then meticulously carved the tooth shape. After a series of operations, the key from his memory miraculously appeared in his hand. Holding his breath, he inserted the wooden key into the door lock and gave it a gentle turn. With a click, the lock actually opened. However, before he could rejoice for even 3 seconds, Mike saw another door in front of him. Each cell in this prison had 2 doors, and the outer door could only be opened from the corridor side. How could he unlock it from the outside while being inside? His partner suggested using a pull string to draw the key over from the opposite cell and insert it into the keyhole. Mike immediately rejected the idea, because while this method could insert the key, it couldn't turn it. At this point, they suddenly remembered that each cell was equipped with a mop. They discovered that by extending the mop handle out the window, it could just reach the keyhole of the outer door. The question was, how to turn the key? One day, while working in the workshop, Mike caught a glimpse of a hand-cranked shaft and inspiration struck. He immediately got to work and made a simple device. He drilled 2 holes in a wooden board, punched a hole at the top of the mop handle, and fixed the shaft to it with screws. Finally, he securely attached the key to the head of the shaft. Just like that, a set of tools for opening the outer door from the inside was complete. Mike carefully reached the mop handle out the cell window to the keyhole of the cell door, inserted the key, and gently turned the key shaft from a distance. With a click, the second door opened. Just then, a prison guard happened to walk by on patrol and came face to face with Mike. Mike panicked and squatted down to try and hide, but accidentally dropped the wooden key on the ground, making the situation even worse. He heard the patrolling guard's footsteps getting closer and closer. If the key was discovered, he would lose his chance to escape forever. In a moment of desperation, he took out chewing gum and furiously chewed it, mixing it thoroughly with his saliva. He then stuck it to the end of the stick and carefully tried to pick up the fallen key. After a few heart-stopping attempts, he finally managed to stick the key and slowly pulled it back with extreme caution. The second door was considered successfully dealt with. As for the doors beyond, they only needed to unlock them one by one with different keys. But even so, there were still people who mocked their plan. Even if they escaped from prison in prison uniforms, they would be caught and brought back within an hour. So they decided to solve the clothing problem first. Every time the prison welcomed new inmates, they would have them take off their regular clothes and change into prison uniforms. These clothes would be thrown into a room. The accomplices took the opportunity to collect clothing, and their figures were noticeably bulky after work because they had hidden a complete set of regular clothes under their prison uniforms. 200 days later, Mike learned that John, who had helped him before, had been sentenced to death for robbery. The letters his girlfriend wrote to him were often edited and redacted by the prison guards, and by the time they reached his hands, they were almost unreadable. These injustices completely ignited his determination to escape. On the night of the 296th day, Mike and his companions prepared to go out and scout. Their goal this time was to test the keys. Mike had made a large number of keys based on his memory, but didn't know which key corresponded to which door. They easily passed through the doors outside the cell and quickly arrived at the stairwell, then went down to the first floor. Around the corner was the 4th door, next to the duty room, which was playing deafeningly loud music. Mike took the opportunity to quietly try the keys and finally matched successfully. However, at that very moment, the music abruptly stopped. He quickly locked the door, and the silhouette of the prison guard appeared at the doorway. They didn't have time to return to the cell, but fortunately, Mike had made a key for the utility cabinet in advance, and the two of them quickly squeezed inside. The utility cabinet was narrow, barely able to fit 2 people. It couldn't even be locked and had no handle. so they could only pinch the protrusion with their fingertips to prevent the door from opening. The prison guard's footsteps approached, but his companion had cut his hand. Moving the door now would be too obvious. They could only pray that the guard wouldn't notice. Fortunately, it was very dark. The prison guard didn't notice the dim utility cabinet. He went straight upstairs, narrowly escaping detection. They took the opportunity to continue unlocking while the first floor was unguarded. The third to last door was successfully unlocked with just one key, which was simply a godsend. With only 2 doors left, they would be able to see the moonlight of freedom. But at this time, the prison guards were inspecting their cells. Mike had used a quilt to impersonate a human figure in advance, successfully fooling them. For the last door, they tried many keys, but none of them worked. There was no time. The prison guards' patrol time had also ended, so they had to withdraw. When retreating, they needed to relock all the iron doors. They ran with all their might while also trying their best to suppress any sound. When they entered the utility cabinet, the prison guards' leather shoes had just stepped on the steps above them. The next morning, Mike was awakened by the warden, who had already missed the bell. The warden suspected that he had been up to something the night before, so he conducted a surprise inspection of his cell. All his belongings were turned upside down. The keys were well hidden, but a single one fell out of the toothbrush cup. The warden slowly picked it up. Fortunately, Mike had separated the key teeth from the handle. The warden didn't realize it was a key and asked him what it was. Mike calmly picked up a photo of his parents, clamped it with the key teeth, and said it was a photo clip.